I also heard my colleague from New Orleans say that this hearing would be informed by our understanding of regret. There would be this deep sense of regret. Well, my friend is from a deep blue district, so he probably won't be the one regretting it the most. The folks that will be regretting what they're doing are the Democrats in swing districts who probably aren't coming back. I'd tell them for the upcoming year, rent, don't buy, here in Washington, D.C. President Trump did nothing wrong. As we've sat here today, each and every action of the president has been explained. We have offered the basis, the understanding. We've gained an appreciation for why a president would have reasonable concern about Ukraine, why a president would have specific concern about this Biden-Burisma nexus. Here's what you haven't heard today. You haven't heard any defense of Burisma from them. You haven't heard them say, oh, well, this was all bogus. The president should not have been asking this question, because we have put into the record, we have cited in the record the testimony of people like George Kent, who said that there were deep, legitimate concerns, even the testimony of Ambassador Yovanovitch about having to expressly prepare for that. Then they say, well, this aid's been withheld. The withholding of this aid is this bad presidential conduct. But the Biggs Amendment that I encourage my colleagues to support ripens the fact that there was a very understandable reason for why the aid was released when it was. And it had nothing to do with the election or anything like that. It had to do with the fact that the Ukraine took substantive steps to ensure that our aid would be appropriately used for the cause that is now apparently the cause celeb of the left, and that is defending the Ukraine against Russia. Then they say, oh, well, the president's next bad act is this great obstruction of Congress. They have subjected President Trump to more presidential harassment than at any other time in American history, attacking his family, not allowing his administration to continue to do its work on behalf of the people. And amazingly, despite all this distraction, despite all of the obstruction of the president that the Democrats have engaged in, jobs are rising, wages are rising, our economy is restored and renewed. There are a few things my colleague said. The colleague from Rhode Island read, well, these are the findings of fact. Let me tell you what the factual findings are. I just want America to know he was reading from the Adam Schiff report. The same Adam Schiff report that Adam Schiff himself would not sit there and explain. They lacked so much confidence in that report that when it was presented to the Judiciary Committee, they had some of their donors asking questions of other of their donors and then doing this weird switcheroo that was very unexplainable. I don't know how my very smart colleagues, like the gentleman from New York, can say there is uncontradicted evidence of pressure. Uncontradicted evidence of pressure. What do they think Zelensky's statements are? When Zelensky says there is no pressure, that is at a bare minimum evidence. When Mr. Yermak says there is no pressure, that is evidence. There is no evidence of a quid pro quo. There's no evidence of conditionality. And the reason you know they lack that evidentiary basis is because they have to keep changing their language. When their pollsters and pundits told them to call it bribery, oh, that was the message of the week. Bribery was on every one of their lips. But then when we asked the witnesses, did you see any bribery? Were you a part of any bribery? The answer was no, and so they have to keep evolving the claims because there is no factual predicate. I also heard my colleague from New Orleans say that this hearing would be informed by our understanding of regret. There would be this deep sense of regret. Well, my friend is from a deep blue district, so he probably won't be the one regretting it the most. The folks that will be regretting what they're doing are the Democrats in swing districts who probably aren't coming back. I'd tell them for the upcoming year, rent, don't buy, here in Washington, D.C. And so today, the only question that we are left with when we conclude this hearing is whether or not, as we move impeachment to the floor of the House of Representatives, which will occur more rapidly? Will they lose votes or will they lose the majority? Because if these folks who promised to come here and work with us on health care and infrastructure vote for this impeachment, they won't be back. We'll be holding the gavels, and we'll remember not just how you treated us, not just how you treated the president. We'll remember how you treated the American people, and we're going to come and restore a sense of honor and integrity in the next election.